quality. Okay, so welcome to today's call, everybody. Look, today is Team Gets Results call, and we have special guests on board today. Not only do we have Dr. Joseph Ahrens, but I also have my other half, David Boyle. And today's topic is talking about the banned substance control seal that Emulin M has gone through that process to be able to be certified as, and what it actually means, what that brings to the table within the sporting industry itself of all ages, but also into the workplace environment as well. So, Dr. Ahrens, how are you today?
I'm just really good. I heard everybody talking about the weather, but it's always great where I am. So yes, usually am in shorts, but I actually put on a lab coat thing so I would look like a doctor instead of being in a Bermuda, Bahama, Hawaii shirt. I'm trying to look official.
Well, we don't mind, because it's the knowledge that you actually bring to the table that we all benefit from, and and heading down that pathway and switching over to you, David. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this call with us today, because it's great to have somebody that has gone through as a young athlete, and then going through as a professional athlete, then heading into the coaching realm, into the lecturing realm of professional sport. So how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, and pretty honoured about being invited to speak.
So I think what we might do to get this, just to set the feel in regards to, I'll let David just have a little bit of a background talk about what his involvement has been in sport. And if we can go just briefly on that, where we're at, what your career has been, David, and what you've seen, what's changed over the years, and we'll lead into what this, having a product like this with a certification like this, what it actually means.
Okay, I didn't have many good attributes, but I was lucky enough to play professional rugby league for 10 years. And I've continued on, and I'm into my 41st year of elite sport. I've worked across 3 codes: basketball, rugby league, rugby union, and one of the legacies is probably 13 knee operations, the last 2 replacements, and 15 other operations. So Joe's products have been keeping me together for a long time, and not only that, we've come to an age of supplementation and a lot of policies and protocols. So one of the clubs I worked at actually got caught for steroids use, and that just revolutionised professional sport and set up committees and policies and the AIS, and just set up a new scene for supplementation and protocols in professional sport. And that spread over to, that was in rugby league, and then that spread over into rugby union, basketball, and a whole host of things now. I've also been on the board of the Australian Strength and Conditioning Association for 18 years, and I'm completing a Masters by Research on decision making in elite rugby league. So yeah, it's been pretty hectic, but it's been a fantastic journey, and meeting blokes, that's an Aussie term, like Joe Ahrens has been a real benefit, and I'm sure that Jackie speaks praises, and she looks after me also with the Emulin badge and all the other products she gives me.
So, David, what I want to ask you is, as a young athlete and going through, and let's talk about recovery, Dr. Ahrens, when we talk about this product too, so you can chime in anywhere here, obviously, but when we start talking about the immune system and supporting the immune system, but I really want to target looking at recovery and how important it is as a young athlete, even when you started playing football. I know you're an avid surfer, and you still are to this day. The importance of recovery and what role that plays as a young athlete, and then going through as you get older and then heading into the professional field. How important is recovery to a young athlete to start with?
These days, the game of rugby league and most sports, we're faster, we're stronger, the collisions are a lot harder. and the results are a lot of damage, muscle damage, and recovery is imperative. Because now, when I was playing, we weren't getting a lot of money, but now they're on $1 million contracts. Over in the States, they're on $12 million contracts, and it means everything to them. And what hasn't changed is when you're young, you don't think about injuries. You just run into brick walls and you clash, and you don't worry about the recovery. So my role now as a high performance manager in elite sport is ensuring that we get good recovery. And that's, sleep, it's proper diet, it's hydration, and we're monitoring so many different things with athletes now to make sure that they get a good recovery. For myself, I wear what they call a whoop band, so it looks at our heart rate variation, our sleep patterns, our slow wave sleep pattern, our deep sleep, and our intermittent sleep. So all these different areas come up with how good we're recovering. So I've been on the product on Emulin now for 6 years, and I'm 62, and I'm still competing pretty well with 30-year-olds on the roller and surfing. So I'm very grateful, and the biggest focus I've had as I get older, more recovery and smarter training.
So, David, just staying on this before we flick over to Dr. Ahrens, is that whilst you finished your professional career, and I've seen what you've gone through, and I've seen what Emulin has been able to do in helping your body repair itself more efficiently, and providing you with that support and assistance, is that you train not just rugby league, but you also have Olympic level hurdlers, you've got surfers, you've got tennis players. I mean, it's across the board that you're dealing with sporting people, but the same thing comes back. And whether it just be somebody that's wanting to get fitted to go into the police force or into the fire brigade, it's the recovery aspect that really is important for them, that they can maintain that. So how important is that for those people, even across the board in different sporting arenas?
I think if I can cover it, I've looked after the basketballers and hurdlers and people wanting to get the SAS. You really got to build up that relationship with them, and trust is the basis of all relationships. And then we have so many metrics in strength and conditioning now. If you can't measure it, you can't control it. So we look at progressive overload, but they still get sore, and the recovery is everything. So if we want to have a good session and they spike themselves, if they do something out of the norm, then they're going to get sore for it. So just incidentally, my hurdler has just gone from running on the grass to running on the hard track with spikes, and all of a sudden she's got lower limb injuries, sorenesses, extra soreness. So they're the sort of things that we're looking at all the time, and now we've got to work on better recovery mechanisms for it as well. So it's priceless. They're developing, as I said, faster, stronger. We're training with more intensity, so we've just got to come up with new ways of programming and ensuring they get their recovery.
So, David, just in the last, you've been home for a month now, but for 3 months you're away with National Rugby League. They shifted the whole competition into another state because of the pandemic, and so that took 16 teams. And not just the players, but all of the staff as well. So this is where I think it's really important to look at what happened to you during that period in time, because how many times were you actually tested for drug testing?
Well, the drug testing in Australian sport is random. So they could test you anytime. You sign a contract. In terms of the supplementation we give them, they're only allowed to use supplementation that we provide them from the club, and they've all got to be certified as with a TGA and not on the banned list that the Australian Institute of Sport developed. So they could get randomly tested, and a couple of them with their phones, they got tested for banned substances like cocaine at the finish of the football, and they've just got their contracts torn up straight away. For some reason, it doesn't get through to them. And it's sad, but you know, we're really trying to educate them on those areas. But there's such a money to be gained. I guess if they can make the grade, that they'll try anything to get where they want to get. They just lose track of the consequences.
So if we looked at what the banned substance control group is, or the organisation itself, so I know that you've looked into this heavily when Emulin first was certified. Emulin M was certified and was had been given this seal, or not given this seal, but it went through the process. And having 496 illicit substances injected into any product, and it has to be, all of it has to be withdrawn, so that it is seen as not being a non-masking agent for any illicit substances. So it proves that they put everything in there that they can that is illicit, and they need to be able to extract it all back to its original form. And they've done that with over 496 plus substances to be able to be granted this BSCG seal. So how important, again, when you get a supplement like that, and it's on the global stage because it is recognised through the Olympic committee as well, is that to athletes. And what is the athlete's responsibility as well? Even though the clubs have to do their due diligence, what is a suggestion too for the general run-of-the-mill people like us out here that have somebody that may be interested in it? What do you suggest to them that they do, that they seek out their own, they go and have it, they research it themselves?
So I think our biggest aim is to get it on the OK list on the AIS, or the Australian Institute of Sport website, and they can just look up the website and they say, well, that's the highest council in Australia, which is tied up with the World Anti-Doping Organisation. So if it's on that list, then that's credibility. Just on the use of supplementation and what it does, if you're getting really sore and you wake up and we want you to train hard, it's not going to happen. And that's why it's so important that they're looking at these different modalities to try to get that soreness out of them. And with the team that I work with that got caught, we're actually using peptides. So it just helped their recovery. So if you can train harder and perform better, then that's going to ultimately, it's going to get you in the first grade and play better football and get more money. But it's also the notoriety too. They like being up on the stage. So there's so many different factors that's attractive to have a good product that's going to help you recover better and quicker.
But with this particular one, David, like we talk about so far about Australian sport, but the beauty of this, and I'm going to get Dr. Ahrens to chime in here on this one, is to look at, because it is a banned substance control group certification, it's not global, but when you look on the website, you can see that there are a lot of different countries throughout the world that this has been certified to be safe for use within the sporting world, but also within the workplace as well. So, Dr. Ahrens, what are your feelings in regards to what this has meant to your product?
Well, first of all, I'm really glad to be here. And I think something's lacking in this presentation. David Boyle, you know, I don't know exactly who is on this call, but I want to tell people, if you can just Google him, he is constantly, relentlessly shows up as the heart of football. He is praised for the heart of an ox. That is, he will not stop. And so he also had some of the most injuries of any players. This guy is amazing. He doesn't know anything about quitting, and that is his legacy. Is he is an ox, and I actually am very pleased to even know him. Much less can count him as my friend, and has shared a few Coronas at some pub hops. But and also, let me tell you some other things. uh, don't you hear often these dumb jocks, okay, why should we listen to David Boyle? Do you know this guy is a PhD student and he's soon to be Dr. David Boyle? I mean, this is just incredible. So this guy is worthy of all of our attention. And actually his age, coming off of an active career, and then now going into study a doctorate. And he's also now involved in the official referee program. Come on, this guy is just amazing. So you need to listen to him. And I do listen to him. And as I'm going forward with some of our products, he's on my medical advisory committee. This guy is to be listened to. So I just want to put that in there. It's not just David Boyle is on the program with Dr. Joseph Ahrens. This guy is an ox and he's a doctorate, and he's also now in the referee program. So the BSCG, there's two parts to that program. One of them is, of course, it says the Banned Substance Control Group. And you would think right away that means, okay, it certifies that that products are not banned. But what does it mean to be banned? Well, obviously, like David just said, it can't be a steroid and these type of things. But more importantly, it's a product that masks other products like steroids. So there's two points here. One of them is there's a lot of drugs that enhance your performance. They're obviously banned. But the second group is products that themselves don't contribute to your performance, but they mask the illicit drugs. And that's what's really important. You've alluded to that, Jackie, a couple of times, 400 something plus drugs. So what they do is, first of all, is it on the banned drug list? And that's just real straightforward. What is in the product? What is in amylin? And is it on this list? But the second thing is a more difficult thing to pass is, will it mask other banned substances? So they actually run this into this group of 400 something known drugs that are not allowed, and will it mask? So you put in, 1 milliliter and run it in there, and on the other end of the test, it's got to come out 1 milliliter, and it passed. So, okay, it's not a banned substance, and it doesn't mask other banned substances. What does that mean to us? What does it mean? Hey, it's not just professional athletes, as you talked about. It means that you can take this product and then not worry about those two things. If it's masking some other drug like cocaine, or is it itself similar to a product like cocaine or another drug? Athletes in particular they're so focused, as David just said, they just don't quite get some of these concepts. And this is really close to my heart because people that have followed me myself know I'm a diehard University of Florida alligator. I got also my master's and my PhD from there, but I'm also a Florida resident, and my blood runs alligator green. We, a couple of years ago, were pushing towards the national championship. We always push to it, but we were just so close. And our quarterback, for you that don't know the game, that's the key guy that calls the plays. He thought he would just take a supplement that itself was not banned. It was not an illicit drug, but somebody said, hey, take this, it'll help you out. And he took it. It was a masking agent. So it did not enhance his performance like an illicit drug, but it happened to be on the list of masking agents, and he was canned. He had to transfer out, and because of that, just nonchalantly, hey, take this supplement. It's not a banned substance. it cost us the national championship. And well, you know, what can I say about that? Well, there was no BSCG then, and now there is. And that means that if this has been tested, it's not an illicit drug, and it also is not a masking agent. Now, it is not accepted over the top by every country in the world. By like 45 countries it is, but other countries, you know, they want to make their own rules. But it's very similar though to having a patent. So if I patent a compound in the US, it's not automatically patented in Australia. However, since it is patented in the US, Australia says, okay, we're going to follow that. And they go ahead and patent it. That's really how it works. So with the BSCG, even though some countries may not automatically take that symbol, they actually do come in and recognize it. And if there's any further issue, that BSCG is an international standard. And if there was ever to happen to be a court case, we don't want that to happen, but that BSCG is going to stand up. It's not just a US standard. So, okay, that's professional athletes. That also means, Jackie, as you said, your workplace. The random test for workplaces is just like with professional sports. My own son-in-law, every week, randomly, they check them for, are you on a substance or a masking agent? And, you know, he has to be very careful. And he knows now, though, that if he does take it, that's never going to show up as any type of issue because it has passed this certification. That's the workplace. All right, now we can follow down into the school system. It's identical. You know, it's a little bit less rigorous, but parents can be assured by taking any product that's on the BSCG approved list, they're not going to get into any issues. Of course, we all know about steroids, you know, that's the big deal, but there's so many other products, 452 of them, that can cause these issues. So it's not one of these bad substances, and it's also not a masking agent, which is even more important. And so everyone across the board can be assured that it's a safe product. You can take it in professional sports, you can take it in college athletics, semi-professionals, and it is high school and school students. You can also take it. And this also has an assurance that it's not doing your health damage. It's not something that's going to pump your heart up and increase oxygen levels and that thing. It's totally safe. So when we started out to develop Emulin, there was no BSCG. But I myself am very interested in sport endeavors, and we made sure that this product would not interfere with anything going on at the time. So we developed this thing in like, the first thoughts were like 2002, and we finally got started doing research in 2007, and we put it on the market in 2011. And so about 10 years we've been in the marketplace, but way back then, we wanted to make sure, as far as we knew then, that this would not be some product that would enhance your athletic performance that anyone would call attention to. And, you know, since that last decade, there've been some really tough issues. You know, let's talk about Lance Armstrong. That's the worst one I know about. So, no, nobody wants to do that. Everybody's looking for an edge, but you can be assured that this will not be illegal. You won't be tapped out because it's maybe, you know, it's a masking agent. But what does it do? Well, it helps you repair yourself. It supports your immune system. And the immune system, actually, you think about, it's always about viruses and stuff. No, the immune system also is the healing system. You've got chemicals in your body, natural chemicals that are flowing around looking for damage. That damage might come from tears in your muscles, tears in your tendons, or an attack by a virus or attack by a bee sting. To your body, that's all the same. So you've got these natural chemicals floating around looking for injuries. And Amulin manages that. We've gone so far to say that this should be in everyone's diet because it supports your immune system. And if several hundred years ago, you would have had enough in your system. Currently, you can't get enough from your natural foods. That's why we say you need to supplement yourself. So I came to David Boyle, Dr. Almost David Boyle, and said, David, we got a product here. Actually, it was through his wife, and said, why don't you try it out? And he's not going to give you any crap. This guy is solid. And if it would have been junk, he would have told me to stick it up my rear end where the sun doesn't shine. But it's not like that, because I know there's also other players where my company is highly associated with the U.S. Boston Red Sox, and we have players on there, and the ones that have retired. And that's really the key point there. The young guys, if you said, David, they can do anything because their bodies are resilient and they've got lots of repair chemicals in their body. But just get into your 40s and your 50s, your 60s, that you need support. And that's where we've seen the greatest support. So even if you're young, you need it. And if you're old, you're older, old, whatever that means, you really need it. And it supports your body's healing function, and it's not illegal. How good is that?
Well, Dr. Ahrens, I want to say, it's a really great coverage to be able to understand that from your point of view too, which is why we wanted you to share, what does it exactly mean? There's another aspect of this that I want to touch base into, and the reason being is because it's a space that both David and I have been in. We've owned our own fitness center, our own rehabilitation center. So that's gone into the general public of all ages. So not specifically into sport. And I bring this topic up because there's a lot of questions that come through that, does anybody own a fitness center? What about rehabilitation? So when we start and look at what we used to see that used to come into our fitness center that we owned, and as I said, it had a rehab center, had physiotherapists in there, and a massage therapist in there as well. And we used to get actually insurance companies would send clients there too. And David, as Dr. Ahrens said, he's very humble. He doesn't talk himself up. He never has. But we've also got a corporate health business too, and I'm going to let David elaborate onto this space, because having a corporate health business, we used to have people from the company come into our gym when we owned it, and it was for the aspect of creating awareness of mobility, teamwork, recovery. But we used to see so many things that I wished we had Amulin when we had the gymnasium. We could have made potentially such a huge difference to a lot of people's lives. So David, what are your thoughts of what we had? We still have the corporate health business, but when we had the fitness center, dealing with general public of all ages, from school age kids all the way right through to the later and tail end of life, what was the most important thing that people were looking for when they were wanting to come into our center?
Yeah, in my first life, I was an electronics technician at a steelworks, BHP Steel, and I wanted to help people. So we started up this corporate health company. So I had to leave the company to go back there as a consultant. That was back in 1989, and it's still going now. So there was 22,000 people, and then I thought I was going to be able to retire and just do it there, and then went down to 15,000, went down to 8,000. There's about 3,000 people there now, just the corporation. The part of the corporate health, they used to have safety meetings every month. So their budget would allow them to become in a club. So we'd put meals on for them and part of their safety meeting. But what they're looking for is just someone to talk to about themselves and about their general well-being. We weren't, as Jackie said, that we didn't have Amulin then, unfortunately, but we had other products that we were promoting just to make them feel better about it. And I think it's that relationship that you can build up there, and they don't want to know how much we know, they want to know how much we care. So if you've got answers for them, and and some factual information around it, then you're going to win all the time. And that's the story.
Okay, so Dr. Ahrens, have you got anything that you'd like to add to this? Because otherwise I'd like to see if anyone's got any questions that they'd like to ask.
Well, certainly in sports, Emlyn will help you rebuild quicker. It will help you to prevent injuries. And if you do get injured, even broken bones, you will heal in half the time. And it's not accelerating the health. Actually, that's what you should have been doing all along, because you don't have this vitamin-like compound in your diet. It takes you 2 or 3 times longer to recover from sprains and stuff. So that's the sports, but that's throughout your life. Everybody needs this product from A to Z, from cradle to grave. And now we have this BSCG certification. It proves what we've been saying all along. This is totally healthy. It should be in your diet normally. And it's not just about recovery, it's about health in general. You need it.
Can I say it's like AMX, American Express, don't leave home without it? I'm hooked on it.
Yes, yes.
Definitely let your wife have it. The Amex card. Look, I just want to say to both David and to Dr. Ahrens, unless somebody's got a question, has anyone got a question that they'd like to unmute themselves and ask? Otherwise, we'll keep moving forward. We're all covered? Yep. Okay, so I want to really thank you, David, because I know your time's important, like all of us, but to be able to have somebody that has gone through, and I just look at you as being a man that's done remarkable things in his life and continues to do remarkable things in his life. And as Dr. Ahrens said, like to see somebody that is relentless in looking after his health and well-being is quite inspiring, because for a 62-year-old, he's just amazing for what he does. His mental capacity in being able to stay task focused, his drive to be able to succeed, it all just continues to keep going forward, and it just amazes me. He's surf boat rows, so that's out in the ocean, and he's competing in surf boat rowing. He's down doing life saving on the weekends. It's not just in the football realm and lecturing, it's the outside world as well that he's doing in his own personal space. It's all about health and well-being. He lives, breathes and sleeps it, and he's always helping. I don't know how many places that we go to on a regular basis. You know, I used to probably think that being a female and you would be next to your husband and somebody would pull you up and you'd be thinking, oh, maybe they're talking to me. They didn't want anything to do with me. They wanted to talk to him. And it didn't matter what age it was, because he's an icon in what he's done in his life. And he continues to be an icon. So people will pull him up and they want to ask him questions about, why does he look so good still? What is he doing? Can you give me a program? Can you help me out? And this is where, Dr. Ahrens, for you, what you've done for us globally by bringing Emlyn to the world stage, I thank you, because my journey is a lot different. But when I look at the lives that it's changed, and having this banned substance control seal certification, it's sport, it's into the workplace, it's into children's lives in general. But even for me, when I go into a hospital on a regular basis, I can let them know what it is. And they go, well, where do I find it? What do I see? And I show them, I send them to your webpage, and they go, oh my goodness, wow. It's a really big deal, people. So David, is there anything that you want to finish off on before we go today?
I'm just writing a message. I'm sorry, I'm really embarrassed. That's the way I was brought up. Joe, thank you for those nice comments, and Jackie and everybody. I hope we've solved a couple of problems or reinforced how good Emlyn is, and I really appreciate it. Have a good afternoon, or good day, good night, good winter, good summer. Thank you.
And Dr. Ahrens, would you like to finish off with something?
Yeah, I am very glad that there is an international beer drinking championship, because that's the only damn place I might ever be able to compete against David. You know, we went to a pub one time with actually bring your own bottle, and he went out and bought 6 or 12. And I said, well, what are you going to drink, David? I don't remember that. So, yeah, thanks for that. But man, I'm telling you, I always, you know, I got a lot of business there, and I say, well, where's David? Oh, he's out surfing. It's like 6 a.m. Yeah, it's good to know you. And I thank you for your support, Dave. And guys like you are the real bread and butter, because I can say all kind of stuff and make up things. And no, you're where the stuff hits the road. So I really appreciate your testimonies and your support on that. To everyone else, I say, look, you know what? It's Emlyn. Everybody needs it. Cradle to grave.
Okay, so thank you, David, and thank you, Dr. Ahrens. And I do want to finish this just with a last thought, because I can't help it. We're not aiming to heal, cure, or mitigate or intervene in anything here. What we are trying to do is to support the body in healing itself and providing it with what it simply cannot get from our food. So please note that. And other than that, we're just providing you with information as to why it is essential that you need to have Emulin, because it honestly, in the 6 years, I've seen it change thousands of people's lives for the better. They live better, they live well, and life is just so much better with it. So thank you, Dr. Ahrens. Thank you, David, so much. And thank you each and every one of you for joining us today. And if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask us. So thank you.
Bye-bye.